Republican himself, to talk about an issue he says is no laughing matter. The Colonel, the Congressman with us now. Good to have you, sir.
Wonderful and happy Independence Day to you, Neil, and to your entire crew and family.
To you as well, sir. You knew you would get the response you did, certainly inside that room, and the negative reaction you got outside that room from a lot of your critics. And I always think you're a pretty shrewd guy. You don't do these things on a whim. You expected what you got, right?
You're absolutely so. You know, I spent 22 years in the United States military, so I'm a pretty strategic level thinker. But what we have to understand on this day when we're celebrating the 236 years of this great United States of America, remember this country was founded on the ideal of individual sovereignty, understanding that the individual rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness do not come from man, they don't come from government, they come from our Creator. And so when I look at this decision that was made last week coming from the Supreme Court, we have an incredible precedent that is now being established, which gives an unlimited taxing authority and potential to the federal government, to Congress, and we can really use taxation as a means of behavior modification. And so that's a very dangerous thing to have in the hands of the federal government, and I think that our friends on the liberal side, you know, if they don't want to see us mandate that Americans have a certain type of handgun, they shouldn't try to mandate that Americans have a certain type of commodity from a private sector just because they have an ideological agenda as far as quote-unquote health insurance reform.
But do you think that part of your provocative nature, Congressman, is to rattle some cages, even if it's done in a way that your critics say is over the top? I think it was a couple of days ago when you mentioned about the president and his big government approach to things, that he would rather you be his slave. You know you'll get that raised eyebrow, if not shocked and awe reaction. You don't seem to care, right?
No, I cannot care, because when I look at the situation in which I find my country, a country that, as I said, I was willing to lay down my life for, same as my father in World War II, my brother in Vietnam, and my nephew now serving. We take very serious the oath that we took to this country, and I'm not going to shy away from saying the things that need to be said. When you look at the fact that under this president's quote-unquote leadership, we have had a 46% increase in food stamp recipients in the United States of America. We've gone from 32 million to 46, 47 million. We even have a government that is using taxpayer money to run radio ads to promote people going on to food stamps. We have almost 7 million more Americans on poverty. We have close to 9 million Americans now out there on Social Security disability. What we find happening is that we are creating an entitlement welfare state where we are starting to get more people wedded to the government by a subsistence check or by employment check. And we, in turn, are finding that the regulatory environment that is out there is crushing our small business growth, which is the economic engine of this country. So, you know, I have to say it as it is. We do not want to see economic dependency or economic slavery become the mantra for the United States of America. It should be economic freedom. But the policies of this president and this administration does not lend that so.
But you've been critical even of Mitt Romney's cautious approach, or more to the point, his aides' approach, and critical of the fact that Mr. Romney doesn't rein him in or correct him. He did today on this whole issue of the health care law being attacked. Maybe he's listening. I want you to listen to this, because he made these remarks, that is, Governor Romney, just today on the health care issue.
The majority of the court said it's a tax, and therefore it is a tax. They have spoken. There's no way around that.
As you know, an aide had said that it wasn't a tax, and so we go back and forth on the aide thing. But the Democratic National Committee seized on that as a chance that if that's the case, Governor Romney, what you did in Massachusetts was and is a tax. What do you think of that?
Well, I think first and foremost, when the Obama administration's Solicitor General argued before the Supreme Court that it was a tax, and the Supreme Court and Chief Justice Roberts comes back and rules that the individual mandate is constitutional as we see it as a tax, well, then that should have been the end of the discussion. I think that Governor Romney needs to talk about the fact that what he tried to do in the state of Massachusetts was him seeing what could be best for his state, but maybe it did not work out as well. And he should feel very bad that the president thought that he could take that as a model and try to implement that for the entire United States.
Well, he's not
of America,
doing that, Congressman. He's still standing by what he did in Massachusetts.
And I think that that's one of the things that probably should happen, because the president is going to continue to try to say that this was the paradigm that I used to implement the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. And I think that the governor needs to come back and reassess, really, what was his decision-making criteria for implementing his health care in Massachusetts.
Congressman, Colonel, always a pleasure. Have a great 4th.
Absolutely, and you too. And we have to stand on principle in the United States of America, regardless of the criticism you receive.
All right, Congressman, good having you. Be well.